Hey everyone, welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Derek.
And I'm Cody.
Before we get into this week's episode, let's talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? I know with me personally, COVID, not being able to communicate with people like we normally do, BetterHelp would be a huge asset in being able to kind of vent and talk about the things that are going on with not only someone I can trust, but someone who is an expert in the field that I'm struggling in. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. This is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. I know here in Rhode Island, we're very limited. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room like you would in a traditional therapy setting.
Yeah, guys, BetterHelp wants you to start living your happier life today. And so they are committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so that they make it so easy and free to change your therapist as needed. And guys, don't take our word for it. There's a ton of people out there that have chosen to go to BetterHelp for their assistance. So you guys can check out the reviews that have been on the site. Go to www.betterhelp.com/reviews, and you can see other testimonials from other people that have used it and how it has helped them in their life. Guys, join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional today. Derek and I can't talk enough about how important it is to seek help before it becomes a crisis, because then at that point, as we both know, the issues could be so deep and set in stone that it makes it even harder to unwind those. So I love reaching out and talking to a therapist. I think it's absolutely great for me. I deal with restless mind syndrome all the time. It's hard for me to sleep at night. And sometimes getting that stuff off my chest before I go to bed helps me drastically. And so we have 10% off for our listeners. All you have to do is go to www.betterhelp, that's BetterHelp.com/winner circle, and you guys will get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp.
We appreciate BetterHelp sponsoring the episode. Let's get into it. So we got a lot to cover this week. Survivor, insane.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 crazy stories we want to talk to you about. It was actually tough to choose just 3 this week, but we got 3 good ones for you that we think definitely deserve some more attention. But before we get to those, because those are ones that are going to be, we might even go over the limits on these as far as our time.
Yeah.
But before we get into those, Survivor.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. Survivor. There was a lot that they threw at us this week. A lot of different twists. We did not see a tribal council because of the twists that were thrown in. And so let's just jump right into it.
Yes.
The episode starts where we see the further fracturing of Shan and Ricard's relationship. The relationship is completely fractured. There is minimal to no trust now with the two of them. And if you guys were listening and been following along these past couple of weeks, you kind of saw this coming, right? Ricard didn't want to hand back the extra votes to Shan because he was like, you have an idol, so let me have some power as well. And then Shan was really, really pushy. I really do think to her downfall. And then you saw Ricard kind of playing it back and forth. Shan goes to him and goes, well, you know, I want to go into the merge without this in my head, without any distrusting you, and that'll get washed away if you hand it back to me. Right there when she said that, I was like, trust is gone. Ricard should see that 100% the trust is gone. Ricard does give her the note back, and we pretty much, now we move on. And so I wanted
But we know they're not going to. But let me ask you, because I don't know what I would do, but what would you do in that situation if you were Ricard?
Literally, well, kind of. I want to see who you think is, what side you take, hers or his.
They both have a good argument, right? I mean, obviously Shan wants the power, but you know, if they're really a team, I see Ricard's side where he's like, you already have a couple advantages. If we're working together till the end, it shouldn't matter that I'm holding one. It's just protecting me too. I thought Shan overstepped here. She definitely lost Ricard, where we even talk about this on Big Brother. If Ricard has any opportunity to go with someone else, he will bring this up down the road to her that was the breaking point for him.
Totally. I agree with you 100%. I kind of side with Ricard on this, and I picked Shan as my winner, But I got to tell you, she does a lot.
She's a little too much.
She does a lot. There's something that I'm going to get into later on in the episode with her that I was just like, she does too much. I see her having some protection, I guess, but I see her probably going home. I no longer see her winning the game, but if she does, hey, something about my gut instinct works.
But would you give it back to her?
So
would you give it back to her?
I would give it back to her the same way Ricard did.
You got to.
In the same sense of like, I know that if I don't, you just got to read the room, right? And Ricard did a great job of reading the room. He did a great job of reading the room from the start of this. He read it and was like, this is weird. We just came up with this plan last week. I don't want to get blindsided and go home.
Yeah, now you're pulling it on me.
Yeah, this is weird. And so, credit to Ricard for kind of like reading the room. And he read the room again with Shannon, was like, you know what? I don't feel like going into this merge with any further distrust, because he knows it's there too. He handed it back to her. So I would have done the same exact thing, but I also side with Ricard on this.
Think about it though. If he decides not to give it back to her, what's she going to do when the merge happens?
Yeah.
She's going to blow you up.
Yeah.
She's going to tell
100%.
everybody in the tribe behind your back that you have an advantage that basically she let you hold on to.
Yeah.
And you refuse to give it to her. So basically it's already spoiled anyways at that point, because everyone in the tribe is going to know you have it. So as reluctant as he was to do it, I agree with you. I think he made the right decision.
Yeah, he had to do it. But, he does it. We find out. So what we missed last week was that a merge was going to be happening this week. And so let's jump right into that, because there was nothing. They kind of went to the Luvu tribe a little bit just to kind of set up what happened further down. Nothing crazy, but the merge happens. And so I want to kind of break down what happened with this merge.
Yeah.
And how it really
crazy.
isn't. It's not quite just like hey, we're merging. Here's the immunity challenge individual. It was so. They all had to draw. They all had to reach into a bag and draw a rock. They either grabbed a yellow rock or they grabbed a blue rock. That determined which team you were on. Now, there were 2 gray rocks in the bag as well. And if you grabbed a gray rock, only 2 people, you would be sitting out of the competition, not being able to either make yourself safe and get yourself to the merge or put yourself on the opposite end. So those 2 people that drew the gray rocks were Nasir and Erica. Now, the people that drew the yellow rocks were Xander, Shan, Leanna, Heather, and Tiffany. And who drew the blue rocks were Ricard, Evie, Danny, Deshawn, and Sydney. So we had 5v5 going into the competition, and this was another insane competition.
Yeah,
right?
That was brutal.
This competition.
How much do you think that rock weighed? How much do you think that?
It looked brutal, and
a couple 100 pounds, right? I mean,
I don't know if it was a couple hundred. That would be a little much, because you see how deep it was.
It was deep, and you know what? Maybe it looks harder because obviously these poor people haven't eaten, so it's like
exactly
they got no energy. Yeah, so maybe like 100 pounds or something like that. Yeah. But it's the size of it and how deep it was in those holes makes it like
brutal.
Yeah.
So the other thing you just kind of touched on it, they're malnutrition, but the good thing about this is not only do the 5 people that win this competition get themselves to the merger and now we're safe, even if they don't have to compete in the immunity challenge. So they don't need immunity to be safe. They win this competition, they're safe, and also get a feast.
Oh, how good do those feasts always look?
And they look incredible. Like, especially they get
even when you eat
the meats and cheeses, and they're eating like brutally. Like, they're not making it look like nice.
Beer, chicken wings.
They're just crushing this food. And
I get hungry every time those parts come
I
up.
can't even imagine how much it must mean to them to also get that food, because bro, they're not even like Evie said it. All right, well, not to get too far ahead, but they don't get food.
We're getting there.
Okay, so
yes,
the first 5 that win the competition, they are going to get immunity that week, food, and they get to choose one of the 2 people that picked the gray rock, so that's Nasir or Erica, to pull with them as the winning group.
Yep.
And so the losing group gets no food. They have to compete now in the immunity challenge, and their life's on the line. So we go into the competition. The competition is really, really intense. And the blue tribe wins, the Luvu tribe, which majority of the Luvu people, they had Erica and Nasir were sitting out. So they had Sydney, Deshawn, and Danny. They just continue to win. The Luvu tribe just can't lose.
Danny's such a beast. I mean, there's a few people, but you can just see like these type of competitions where it's strength, agility, one, he's helping push that rock on his own probably. And then on top of that, you see him scale the wall like it was like me and you skipping up onto a curb.
Yeah, like we were just walking
just
upstairs. He took that.
Yeah, freak athlete.
And
freak athlete.
Think about the malnutrition he's feeling. He's dying through that. He's dehydrated. And he still at the end of it was like, hold on, let me just shoot right up the wall.
Yeah,
Nobody
like,
touched
I
him.
got this.
He didn't grab any hands. He just jumped up and like grabbed on the ledge and got up there. It was intense. Again, on the losing tribe, like Shan just can't win. Ricard finally gets a win.
There'd be a montage of Shan crying.
Yeah, she's just getting crushed.
And I'm not hating on her. Listen, she's an emotional person.
Yeah.
Some people are like that. That's just how they are. It is what it is, but we're giving her a hard time.
Yeah. So
Shan,
then
if you're watching this, we love you.
Yeah, we do. But your kind of game is driving me insane with how much you're slipping up constantly and pushing and being like super pushy with people. But hey, it's working for you right now. But as a player of Big Brother, I don't feel like this like pushy kind of game. And she does another thing here, which easily breaks trust if people notice it. And I don't know. I just see herself kind of putting her foot in her mouth, which I think it's already happening. I think it's going to continue to happen. But we get to the Blue Tribe wins, and now they're up. And they have to decide, who are we taking with us? Is it going to be Nasir or is it going to be Erica? Right?
Yep.
They say they rock, paper, scissored it. They pick Nasir. We come to find out shortly after that they're like, we see what's happening here. The women are picking off the guys in these other tribes. And so we're protecting Nasir, bringing him with us, leaving Erica on the losing tribe, putting her up for grabs, and we'll try to send her home this week.
Yep.
But what does the Gamer Survivor have for us, Derek?
I mean, listen, it's interesting because they take Nasir, but even to the credit of the contestants, they knew Erica going to this island, right? Because now she's going to be left on an island for 2 days, 2 nights, no food, no shelter. But if you're a fan of Survivor, you know whenever this person goes off to Exile Island, there's always an advantage at play where it might be just given to them or they might be able to do something to earn it. So they already know as soon as they say she's going to exile that she actually just became more of a threat. Yeah. She's coming back with something.
Yep.
So it was really interesting. They go back. I mean, we don't really need to cover the merge feast, right? They're sitting there. No. It's funny. Danny calls out Evie. Is like, listen, we know you guys were trying to get out the guys. Yeah. So we had to protect them. Sorry. And she was like, no, we expected that because we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. And then we go over to Exile Island at first, right? If I'm skipping anything, let me know. We go over to Exile Island at first because Exile Island, she first goes there and they give her the little bit of water, the little bit of rice, all that good stuff. I'm trying to remember, did Exile Island, at least the first part, come before or after the whole segment with Shan, Liana, and
Initially it was Erica. They were showing her kind of like going through the struggle.
Because that's a big moment.
Yeah, she was going through a lot. It was tough. Like, I got to be honest, I was kind of leveling with her there because I wouldn't want to be the person after my group just won. They picked another person in the group. I'm now on the island by myself. She felt a little bit she felt like vulnerability. She was definitely not the person in that situation that would be better off on their own. Like Nasir, scaling up trees, like grabbing fruits. He's the guy.
Had a feast.
He's chilling.
Yeah.
But they had a strategic reason for bringing Nasir, so it's understandable. Not to get into what she is offered, because then we get into what you were just going to talk about.
Which I thought was like a whole crazy segment.
Yeah. And it starts with Shan.
Yeah, Shan just, running her mouth a little bit, says something to Liana in front of Tiffany. We've seen it all season. Tiffany's erratic. She kind of just has diarrhea of the mouth. She says the first thing that comes to mind. She kind of just says what she's thinking, which not necessarily a good thing in a show like this.
Right.
And at first, Liana's definitely upset with Shan that she did that.
Right.
She gets away from Tiffany and she tells Shan about her advantage, which we already know.
Because Tiffany like pushes and is like, so what's the advantage you got? Right. Why Shan did this? So I just want to touch on this first because it drove me absolutely insane. I was like, why did you do that? Now, I will say this. We don't see how the whole conversation played out. So we don't see if Shan turned and said to Liana, like, oh, you guys are tight. Like, oh, we're like open to talk freely. And Liana was probably just like nodding along. Yeah. And then Shan just spilled this information. Or if Shan did it on purpose, I don't think she did. I think Shan has horrible diarrhea of the mouth. And I think she just is going to put her foot in her mouth. Like when she did that to Liana, I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely burned her.
Why would you
That's a
do
big
that?
advantage. That's a huge advantage to have. And
And
if Tiffany knows, I think eventually everyone will.
so say that's done to you, right? Like you and me meet up. We're not on the same tribe. We're supposed to build trust with one another. And then the second other people are around us, like I divulge what we talked about and how I handed you the advantage.
I would have been pissed.
Right? Like
Yeah,
you no longer trust me, right?
No, yeah. No, I at minimum, I might trust you as a person, but not trust you with any personal information anymore.
No, it's done.
And, Liana tried to get out of it, but later they show it where it's separate. Tiffany starts grilling her again, and Liana makes the right call here.
Has to.
You can't lie about it at this point. You gotta just, it's not even an option. You just gotta kind of throw it out there and hope Tiffany doesn't blow up your game. But then it cuts to a Tiffany DR, and you could tell Tiffany's like, oh, they didn't tell me right away.
Mm-hmm.
She's already paranoid.
Right.
Before you know it, Tiffany more than likely will be turning on them and divulging her advantage. So I thought that could be something where, here's the thing we have to look at too from behind the scenes. This show's already done.
Yeah.
The game's already completed.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself when you're seeing these segments, if you want to cheat a little bit, why are they showing this to you?
Right.
Why is this segment important? Obviously it's important because just at face value, it's kind of a crazy scene, but usually there's some significance to it that might affect the game later. So if you're really paying attention, you can kind of see some foreshadowing of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to guess, there's going to be a moment where maybe next episode or the episode after, Tiffany's going to blow up Liana's spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got to be honest with you, it allows someone like Shan to kind of like skate by. Cause like for me, if I was Liana, this would immediately tarnish my relationship with Shan. You ruined a relationship for me with Tiffany. Like Liana's relationship to Tiffany is ruined now. Tiffany said it in her DR. She doesn't trust Liana because they're supposed to be her Evie. It was supposed to be Liana, Evie, and Tiffany. Now the trust is broken. Tiffany feels like she can't trust Liana. Liana feels like Tiffany was a little too pushy. And all this stems from Shan. And if you're playing this game, you need to pick up on stuff like that. Because if you're not, then you're not like fully aware of everything that's going on.
Read the room.
Yeah. Like Shan really
read the room.
Shan now has like crossed multiple people. Like Ricard, his relationship should be tarnished with Shan. Liana's relationship should be tarnished with Shan, but then we see something further in the episode that Liana, Shan, Deshaun, and Danny are going to get together. That kind of takes us into the final part of the show because they showed that alliance kind of form. Danny, Deshaun, they were all into it. Liana was into it, but I got to be honest, like I see that forming, right? And immediately my first thought is like, how is Liana going to trust Shan enough to work with her now? Like, is that just going to be? And that's why I am saying what I'm saying, because I'm literally sitting there being like, Shan just completely broke trust, in my opinion, to Liana, like immediately, not even like any time passed. Like it was the first day that they were all in camp. And so I'm like, okay, so now they're going to work together and you're not going to have that doubt, or are you going to have that doubt? Like I'm eager to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And so
me too.
And so now it finally gets us to the last twist that Erica gets. And this is called the hourglass twist. And so Jeff comes rolling up to the exile island, I guess we'll call it, and tells Erica she has this what's it called, the hourglass twist, where all the stuff on the bottom is what has happened. All the sand in the bottom of the hourglass is what's happened. That's the history of this season so far. But what Erica can do is smash that history with a hammer. And if she chooses to do that, the immunity, the merge challenge that just happened gets flipped. So now the losing tribe and Erica are the tribe that gets their buffs and are safe at the next tribal council and have made it to the merge. And the winning tribe now flips and takes on that losing tribe. And they now have to compete in the immunity challenge and are, have the possibility of going home.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't
can I
love
ask
it.
you a question?
I don't love it.
Well, I got to ask you a question. I love Jeff. Think he's one of the goats of the hosts, right? But like, there's this moment where he's like, you can choose to leave it the same. You can have protection, go to the winning tribe, not be subject to being voted out, make history, or you could just do nothing.
Or do nothing, and everybody will hate you, and it's bad for TV. Whatever you want.
I'm just going to leave this hammer right here. I'm even going to put it on its side for you if you just want to smash it right now. And he's like, you just got to decide by tomorrow. But like, is there any way that Erica does not do this.
Bro, is there any way you would not do it?
No, you can either be up to be voted off or safe.
And now
forget everything else.
That's what I want to say. Like, let's push everything out, right? Not that we know that they're talking about possibly sending her home. We don't want to talk about that. I have that hammer. I see the situation. I'm on Exile Island. It's getting smashed.
If I can guarantee my safety for one extra week or one extra day or two or whatever it is in Survivor days, because they don't go week to week. You want to just survive another day. This allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody was looking out for you when they sent you to exit. By the way, you're gonna take away one of the numbers from the team that just voted to not keep you, to send you away. So if you can chink away at their armor, you definitely want to do that. So I was like, I know this is a cliffhanger, but I started this. It's not really a cliffhanger.
It's trouble because let me foreshadow, because again, I didn't see any of the episode. Any of the upcoming, because I had to add 2 minutes extra to record, because when my recording ends, we don't get to the stuff. So I'm like, come on, DVR, figure it out, or Cody.
Yep, I saw it.
So I didn't see what happened next week, but tell me if I'm right. I see it getting smashed, the roles reversing, Evie and Ricard kind of bringing to light the conversation that Danny was having, Deshaun was having, and the target is going to get smashed onto one of their heads, because if you look at it, it's Ricard, Evie, Danny, Deshaun, and Sydney. Evie's going to be like, well, the guys are nervous about guys going home, so that means they're going to try to target one of the girls. He'll probably tell Erica, you were the target, because on the other side, you had mostly women on the yellow team. And so I see next week, Nasir, Deshaun, or Danny, or Ricard, who I don't see going home, because I think Ricard will end up, he was just quiet. Ricard was on UA. Yeah. He doesn't have anything, he doesn't have a bunch of tribe members behind him, so they're going to probably cut into the Luvu tribe. And so that's why I feel like Nasir, Deshaun, or Danny are going to be in serious trouble next week. Whichever one of them, if one of them don't win the immunity, they're going to be in trouble. Tell me if I was right. Any of that kind of drama unfold?
I mean, it doesn't show any of that. It just basically shows like this moment where both tribes are standing up there, and Erica's like, I had the option to make history this week. Dun, dun, dun. And then, it cuts the commercial.
If she doesn't,
done. But
if she doesn't,
she's 100% doing it. It's not even, I don't even know. I'm like,
and now everything I just said, if she doesn't smash it, I take all that. Obviously that didn't happen. And I just think that she's cuckoo and probably going home.
Yeah, no, she'll be in trouble if that happens. Okay. So that kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, that wraps it up. We can't do I don't want to do an idol or an exile this week, because we didn't have anybody go home. We didn't have anything really like.
Well, I can give the exile of the week to definitely Shan right off the jump.
I mean, I'll give the exile of the week to Erica, because she literally got sent to Exile Island.
There you go. And honestly, I'm going to give an honorable mention idol of the week, just because I think it's going to hurt him long term, just because of his physical stature. But I'm a huge Danny fan.
Love Danny, bro.
Dude, love him. And even his personality,
yes.
It's like, as for such a big, imposing dude, like, I just kind of want to hang out with him. No, you know what I mean? Like, he just seems like a good cat.
Yep.
And
seems like so he just really hang out, smoke a cigar.
Chill, just chilling.
Like, have some good conversation. He is that guy. I do agree with you.
He is gonna, the Evies and the Ricards of the world, they're gonna eat that man alive. Yeah. And he's gonna be in a situation where he's gonna have to win the immunity challenges, which he's capable of doing. He's gonna have to win them outright, because they're gonna get together and go, we can't beat that guy.
Yep.
We got to take.
We like him, but we can't.
But he's got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So, everyone likes him.
Yeah.
He's physically fit. If we get down to 5, he's gonna win outright, and he's gonna be deciding who makes fire. So they're not gonna keep him around. Yeah. But that might set up a nice little path, as Danny being the shield for someone like Deshaun, who's also physically capable of doing it and super smart. He's a doctor, of getting to the end. He might be able to hide behind Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but that's Survivor, right?
Yeah.
Another one in the books.
That wraps it up. That's episode 6 of Survivor. We'll be back next week with episode 7. And that episode, we will have a tribal council, and someone will be going home. So I'm eager to see. Next week. I'm eager to see. Next week is going to be chaos. I'm really excited for next week's episode.
Especially when you have this tribe this group, this blue group that thinks they're safe. So they're not even really like plotting too much, and now they're going to be scrambling, because it's going to go from, it's a rewind button from our season. It's crazy.
It's going to go, there's going to be information being leaked from the people that were on the blue tribe that aren't a part of Luvu, because think about this. Luvu was on the winning tribe. They had 3 people on the 4 people into the winning group. Erica was the outcast from that group. And now if the roles flip, that's going to get talked about.
Yep,
So
I
a
agree.
Luvu member's in serious trouble. And I assume it's going to be one of the guys on the Luvu tribe.
I think you're probably right.
So
okay,
that wraps us up.
So we changing gears
over to our articles. Which one are we kicking off with?
Yeah, so this first one, you almost look at it and you're like, this can't be real. But I looked into it and it definitely is real. And essentially what we have is, the title here says model posed on Instagram by dad's casket. I don't know if she's an actual model or not, maybe an Instagram model.
Come on.
But essentially she poses next to this, her father's casket. And there are other shots. I don't know if they show it here. If you're looking right now, you can't see it from this angle. But this was actually the quote from her Instagram page. She had this pose, and there was multiple photos if you swipe to the right. And she wrote, "Butterfly fly away, R.I.P. Poppy, you were my best friend, a life well lived." And this is obviously the model here, Jane Rivera. A couple other photos right here. So you can literally see her dad in the background. There was another photo. Here's a couple more from the Instagram post, different angles. What is your take on this? What is your take on this trend? Because she's not the only one who's ever done it.
What? Why?
No, there's been other people that are doing like these weird things, like basically taking, using tragedy to get likes or to get
I can't even tell
views.
You how much I hate this. I think this is why I feel society is on a downward trajectory.
Look at this too, by the way. For those of you who aren't on YouTube, she's got 12,000 likes.
Yeah,
on this photo.
I mean, and like understandable. Yeah. So what I do understand is the 12,000 likes on the photo. She must be an influencer. So influencers nowadays call themselves models. You're just taking photos of yourself and posting it on Instagram. The whole Instagram model thing drives me nuts in itself. But the thing that drives me the most insane is like, yes, there's no proper way to mourn, right? There's no proper way to mourn, but I can judge however you choose to mourn, however I like. And that's the freedom that I have also. And I think this is horrible. Like, how are you standing and posing all nicely? Like your father passed away. Yeah. Like your father passed away and you're standing in front of the casket, like posing, like doing your whole, like she's literally posing, like her background. You could take out that background and put like on a beach. Like it
doesn't seem like it's very connected to, I could see maybe a photo of like her hand holding his hand, something really like
sentimental, idiot.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and it says here, because I looked up her profile after I saw the article and her Instagram page was deleted or shut down. And I was like, oh, she must've got
crushed
so much backlash. She just deleted her Instagram page. And in reality, she actually came out later and said that Instagram disabled her page. So Instagram has not commented back yet, but it looks like Instagram actually went ahead and said, nah. So this goes back to a conversation
I don't like it even more. Now I don't like it even more. Now I'm even more mad, and I'm not mad at her. The heat got shifted to Instagram because I can't.
That's what she's saying. Now she could be lying. She could
be.
She could be like, oh, I deleted it because I was getting so much backlash, but I'm going to put it on Instagram because I'm so small. They're not going to respond.
I don't know, man.
Possible.
I don't know. I do feel like the banning and all that stuff. And they don't really do like a direct investigation. They probably had a certain number of people commenting saying that this is offensive, blah blah blah, like abusive content, whatever. I don't even know how you can flag things, but I know the blanket stuff. I guess abusive, I'm sure racist stuff like that. Like I don't know because I don't ever go into because there's really never stuff that I see on my feed that I would report. But people now, because this was made a little more public, probably went in and hammered it so much that Instagram like shut it down.
I think you're
right.
Which
I hate that.
I think you're
because
right.
like, although this is absolutely ridiculous, this isn't like, who's this highly offending? Like we've all had people pass away in our lives.
Yeah.
We've all been to funerals of people that have meant the world to us that have passed away. Who does this offend so horribly that it needs to be taken off of Instagram?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think it's offended to the sense where it should be taken down. No, but I'm offended by it. You know what I mean? Just personally, I'm offended by it in a sense like, and again, we're just on a roll this week, but
offended by it.
I'm offended because it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful in that sense where I'm looking at it. It's like, but again, it is her freedom to put it up there. So
Right.
do I think it should be taken down? We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Should not be taken down. I have a right. She has a right to post it. I have a right to feel offended by it.
Right.
I'm not. Let me clarify that. I'm not personally offended by
Right.
it, but it aggravates me.
Yeah,
I guess so.
100%, I agree
It
with you.
aggravates me,
Yeah.
and I mean it. I do find the content offensive because I think it's disrespectful to her dad. Now, maybe her dad would disagree. Maybe her family would disagree. It looks like this is a public place where there might be people in the background, although all the seats are empty. I wonder who was standing around. But
who took the photos?
To what you said, if you photoshopped in a different background, this could be a different type of photo.
Mhm.
You follow what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It doesn't look like it's about her dad.
No.
It looks like it's about her, and the casket is kind of the afterthought.
And the caption is to tug on people's heartstrings.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Not a
love
fan.
that she
maybe
did
we're
it.
maybe we're old school, bud.
Nah, bro, I don't like that she did it, but I don't like more that Instagram took it down because yeah, I understand that people could be offended by this, but like personally, like there's not a racial component to it, there's not a religious component to it, there's not a political component to it. Like what?
Right. She's not showing firearms or anything like that.
Why is this something that gets taken down? And if it's something like this, then what can be taken down as long as there's enough people or there's people that are tagging it and flagging it as offensive?
It might be something where they suspended the account to review it because obviously they have millions of accounts.
Right.
Maybe in a week or so, it's back up and it's running where basically Instagram gets inundated with these flags.
Mhm.
So out of just to err on the side of caution, they suspend the account.
Right.
They review it and then they repost after they realize it doesn't violate any community guidelines.
I'd be okay with that.
I hope she gets her. I hope she gets her page back. I'm sure she will. For what it's worth, and we are not the authority on this, but guys, social media is not the end all be all.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the right to post whatever you want on your page.
Right.
Just understand the people watching and the people seeing it have the right to respond any way they like.
Correct.
And I think if you really take a second to think about your post before you post it, most of the time you'll make the right decision.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is in the best taste.
Listen,
It's a crazy world we're living in right now, man. I mean,
Bro.
people are selfie and people are doing full-blown photo shoots in front of their parents' casket. I mean, are we for real right now?
we're on it down. Our chart society as a society is ticking this way. We are not ticking in the right direction.
Hope the best for Jane.
Social media
Hope
is the
this,
fault.
I mean, hopefully Jane learns from this, grows from this, becomes a better person because of this. Wish her nothing but the best, and she seems like could be a good person, young. We all make dumb decisions when we're young, so hopefully this is
I don't know how old she is, but the younger generation is under the impression that I can become famous and be set for life if I become viral on social media.
Well,
And
she's
so
viral.
it's causing people to do things and create things that could be like viewed by people like, what in the world is going on here? But it's the world that we live in with social media. There's really everybody quote unquote thinks that their fame is based off their followers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what does that mean?
So
Not
question
good.
from this one, sound off in the comments, guys. You're at a wake or you're at a funeral and one of your siblings, it's for a wake or funeral
Mhm.
for one of your parents, and knocking on wood for all of you here, and you look over and your brother or sister is doing a small photo shoot with the casket in the background. What are you doing? How are you responding? Are you okay with it? Are you not? And if you're not okay with it, are you addressing it right there, even though you're at a funeral? Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you think.
That's great.
I'm actually very
That is
interested
a
to hear what you have
great
to say.
question, bro. And that should bring us
Let's hear the-
to our next one. All right, so we are now in our next topic that is in the news, and I don't know if anybody has heard of this. This was one that absolutely blew me away. As somebody that has been on sets before, you've been on sets before. I've worked in movies and on TV shows, and this is like, I can only imagine this being like an absolute, like, this is like worst case scenario on any of these sets. And so what happened was a few days ago, Alec Baldwin was on set of a film called Rust that he's producing. He's a lead in, and it's like centered in like old Western times. And Alec Baldwin has this prop gun. And in the scene, he comes out and is supposed to be shooting the gun. And the gun was supposed to be, what's the term that's used in this article? It's supposed to be cold.
Well, it's supposed to be
It's cold?
shooting. It's cold, and it's supposed to be shooting blanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when at the range, when it's a real gun, you say the line is hot, which
Yes.
means people are loaded. The guns are loaded.
Yes. Okay. So the gun was supposed to be cold. This was announced on the set. Alec Baldwin comes out and fires the gun, and it had a live round in it.
Mm-hmm.
The live round hit his cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, went through his cinematographer and hit the director, Joel Souza. And unfortunately, like, this is horrible. The cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, passed away.
Mm-hmm.
This is horrible for so many reasons, but the first thing I want to do is go back to before this happened. And multiple crew members had stated that this was not the first time on this set that a live round was fired from a prop gun. 3 other live rounds had been fired. Why in the world was this happening?
You know, I was always under the impression that all guns on set were not even real guns. They were just like prop guns. They weren't capable of firing a real bullet. But apparently, and again, I've never been an armorer on set, so I wasn't aware of this, but apparently they are real guns, but they use blanks, which essentially my understanding of a blank is it's a similar thing to an actual live round. The only difference is they'll have that shell casing with the gunpowder, but the projectile that shoots out of the top of the shell and would actually hit someone, there's no projectile. So you just have the gunpowder. So when you pull the trigger, the firing pin hits the shell of the bullet and causes that bang that you hear with a round. The only difference is you don't have the projectile.
Right.
I was not aware that that seems awful risky to me, because those guns, if you're going to do that, there should be something in them that prevents them from shooting ever. Even if it's just like filling the barrel, which is dangerous. This would be dangerous as well, but if there's no live round in it, you don't have to worry about. But like filling the barrel with like some type of concrete or something, so that worst case scenario, the gun blows up in your hand, which still would make you lose a hand, but better than what's happening. And this isn't the first time this happened either. I was telling you before we started filming, Brandon, you weren't familiar with him, but Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, this happened to him as well on set. So just a crazy set of circumstances. And I don't know how it happens. I really don't know how this type of negligence happens in today's day and age.
Someone has to be liable, because the fact that, if this is true, that multiple rounds had been fired before this had happened. Multiple live rounds have been fired. This wasn't the first misfire on this set. The fact that there were live rounds here, and there were live rounds that had gone off and been discharged previously, ultimately leading up to this situation where a live round was fired and then somebody was hit, and then, well, 2 people were hit and 1 person died. Somebody needs to be held liable for this. This is, I mean, understandably so. It was an accident on Alec Baldwin's part, obviously. But there needs to be somebody on there, producer, set, somebody that needs to be held liable for live rounds being on the set, live rounds being put into, the same area that, the blanks were, and then live rounds ultimately being put into a gun that is completely capable of shooting and killing somebody. Like, this is so bad.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. And right now I have up for the YouTube people, they're seeing this before audio, just a photo of the crime scene. You can actually see the area where it looks like it's the set. They must have been filming some type of shootout scene or whatever, and they have the area roped off, because clearly at the time, it's all cleared out now, but there must have been a crew behind the cameras. He must have fired in their general direction. And essentially it went, the same bullet, as you mentioned, went through the cinematographer and actually embedded in the shoulder of the director. And I was looking at this article, and again, talk about just gross negligence. You scroll up here and you can see this line as the FBI looks into this. There was something, I think it's a little further up, but essentially can't find it right here. In addition to, see if I can get that in the middle of the screen for you guys. I'll read it for everyone on audio. In addition to the bullet removed from Souza, the director's shoulder, investigators found 500 rounds of ammunition, including a mix of blanks, dummy rounds and what appeared to be live rounds. So I've already kind of explained what blanks are. Dummy rounds are basically, they can be plastic, they can be metal, but they're usually a solid piece. It just looks like a bullet, but they put it in there for like misfire drills. So dummy rounds, blanks, and live rounds. I don't see how that happens. I also read another article that suggested that these same guns were used at the shooting range by these individuals not too much prior to this incident. So just seems like a really lack of security, a lack of policy and procedure, because I'm sure it's not designed to be set up this way. And as far as liability, man, I mean, not that it's any consolation, but Helena had small children, and obviously her husband is still here. Alec Baldwin already said he'll do whatever he can do to support the family, but I can promise you this, the production company, the insurance, I mean, they have a huge, huge lawsuit on their hands. And not that I'm sure they would trade this in a heartbeat, but Helena's family is going to be well taken care of. They're never going to have to work a day in their life when this is all done.
This is a mess. I just don't understand how, and I understand because I've worked on low budget films where a lot of stuff isn't as easy as you would think. Like a lot of people think like these movie sets are all like, oh my goodness, it must be so easy. Like it's a whole thing. But on some of these lower budget films where, this may have been a passion project for Alec Baldwin. And so it's something that he wants to get done. So they have to get it done at a certain price. You have to cut corners in certain aspects. And that aspect might have been a person on the set that is going through every single round to make sure that there are no, God forbid, live rounds. But yeah, this is a mess up. This is a mess up badly on,
things are going to change for sure.
Yeah. This is really bad.
They're already talking about new policy, a policy called, I believe, Helena's Law or something like that, where it's going to change it. So our thoughts are definitely with Helena's family, with Joel Souza as well, who is injured, and also Alec Baldwin. Because although there is some reports that he may have been negligent as well, we're going to see that. I know the investigation is ongoing, but I have a strong suspicion he did not believe the gun was loaded, and this was an accident. And I don't know how he responds after an incident like this. He's now responsible for the death of another person.
So criminally, maybe you have a little bit of insight on this. Like how can he be charged? It's like, is there...
They would have to prove that he was negligent. So it could be like a manslaughter charge. So like you can be driving fast, above the speed limit, not intend on killing someone and accidentally kill someone and be charged with manslaughter, right? With this, they would have to prove intent and also malice or negligence in the situation where he knew it was loaded and he was pointing it in the direction of someone who he shouldn't have been. I don't know if it's going to get there, but intent is a big thing. And did he intend to injure or kill someone? And I think the answer is going to be no. But if they can prove that he knew there were live rounds, that he was shooting live rounds and then shooting, blanks, if he was the one doing all that, I mean, he could have some potential legal issues. But
I just think that because there were other incidents on this same set of live rounds being fired previously, that like somebody's going down for this.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is the type of stuff that shuts down production companies for good. Like they're going to be sued out the what. They're not going to recover from this. They're not going to recover from this. They're, like I said, Helena's family is going to own this production company when it's done. I don't know who did it. I don't know if it was low budget, high budget, but heads are going to roll. Executives are going to be fired. It's going to be a bloodbath for them, and deservingly so. You're filming a movie. Nothing should supersede the preservation of life for a movie, because who gives a shit about the movie in the grand scheme of things? Two little kids just lost their mother, and so what if this movie gets ever put out or not? Who cares? But ultimately, we want something done where this never happens again. So we'll see how it goes.
So that brings us to our final topic of the evening.
All right. So this next one comes from my boy, one of the few guys that I fanboy over here.
Yeah, you do like Elon Musk.
Yeah, love Elon Musk. Elon Musk could soon become the world's first trillionaire. Not surprised. The guy's making waves. I know we're here. The title says Elon Musk could become the world's first trillionaire. It just shows you that the rich get richer, and obviously he's taken a lot of losses as well. I mean, he tells his stories where Tesla, there was a point where he was trying to sell Tesla to some of the bigger vehicle manufacturers, and no one would even touch him. And so he had no choice but to invest everything he had to try to, survive. He was telling a story where he had the option of choosing to invest completely in Tesla or completely in SpaceX. And he ended up choosing to split the money, which created more of a risk that they could both fail.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said, it was like my kids. I couldn't choose one.
Yeah.
And as you can see, he made the right move because Tesla is doing extremely well, and so is in SpaceX. So the guy's brilliant. I've heard some stories about him that it can be a little tough to work with or whatever, but I think when you're that smart, when you're that forward thinking, you're definitely going to rub people the wrong way. But I think to inspire change and to do things like this, you have to be willing to push the envelope and act in a way that you're not concerned with the opinions of others.
Right.
That's the only way where you're going to get ahead and be this successful. It's inspiring. I'm sure some people will throw a negative spin on this because you can make this political as well, where it's like, the top 1%, like, or the top 99, I forgot what it is, but like, basically like there's a very small percentage of people that make up 90% of the world's wealth. You know what I mean? Like, It's like the world's billionaires and trillionaires is a small list, but they make up like most of the wealth in the world. And so people can see that as a problem because we're so top heavy.
Yeah.
And I actually saw something this week come out where there's a proposal to start taxing unrealized capital gains.
I hate it.
So are you familiar with it? What it's kind of, because I'm invested in stocks.
Yeah.
You are as well. And let me preface this by saying that this proposal is supposed to be targeting millionaires who have been millionaires for the last 3 years, who have made over $1 million in the last 3 years, or billionaires.
Yeah.
And essentially, for those of you who don't know, what that means is if you have $100 in stocks, it could be worth, you basically have stocks that are worth $100. So those stocks from one day could be worth 100 and then could be worth 600 the next day. But adversely, they could be worth $20 the day after that. So what they're saying is if you're a millionaire or a billionaire and you have $1 million in stocks come tax season, you are going to be taxed on that $1 million in stocks, even though you haven't taken any of that out. You haven't realized it yet, where you're actually able to use it to purchase product or anything else for that matter.
Yeah.
And so I get where it's coming from, where you want to tax people like Elon Musk, who's invested all over, because what they do is they'll keep their money in the stocks. And because their money is in stocks and investments, they're not taxed on it at the end of the year.
Well, they only get taxed on the capital gains that they take out. So
Right. What they'll do is instead of taking it out, they'll go to a bank, show them their stock portfolio, get a loan based on those stocks, and never have to pay taxes on the actual stock. So they kind of circumvent tax law.
These guys,
they know what they're doing.
They have the best in the world being paid millions of dollars to do things to avoid them that government employees that are not being paid that much just are like, man, I kind of get how it is, but how can I catch them in it? Like, but the thing that I don't like about it is that there's always a trickle-down effect.
And and then next it's us.
There's always the trickle-down effect. It would get said and it's being preached as, targeting them, but even once it goes in place, it doesn't immediately target them. I have stocks. I have money in the stock market. My money goes from here to here. I will be taxed at the end of the year on the increase of my stocks without even using the money that's in the stock. So now I'm paying out of pocket, which I don't like it at all. Like, I can understand. I take the money out. My money went from this money to this money. I take out
went from 100 to 600. That's a $500 profit.
I now have to pay the taxes on the money now that I've liquidating it and trying to use it elsewhere. Understandable. I get that. I don't get this. I don't like it. And I think it literally decentivizes people for putting money in the stock market, which will literally crash a big part of what our economy, like why people are okay to spending money. Like, oh my God, my stocks are doing good. I can spend this money right now. I'll spend the money here. Like, I don't know, economically, I'm not an expert, but this just doesn't,
but we're someone who on a smaller scale, we invest and
so I want to
try to do right by our families, and again, that's why these topics that we're talking about, they're relatable to each and every one of us, because I'm sure many of you out there, you might have this little small 457s or, even 401ks, I don't know if 401ks would fall under it, but like 457 accounts, those things where you're investing in equities or mutual funds, you would be subject to this if you're over $1 million. And that's why I want to say it one more time. We are both aware that the way it's being proposed right now is it would only affect the millionaires and billionaires of the world. So
we get it.
So we get that. But you have to ask yourself, where would they draw the line? If you open up Pandora's box, if you open up that a possibility for the government to do that, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, could they decide to extend that to people making $500,000 a year?
Well,
which is still not middle class, but it's above.
Yeah.
But again, you wonder, and I get it. You see people like this, like Elon Musk, will never spend that money in his lifetime, but he's earned it.
Yeah,
he earned the money, and
that's
it's not
free
like
market.
It's
capitalism.
He earned the money himself, and ultimately he shouldn't have to be penalized for it. He should have to pay his fair share. I will say that it's no secret that some millionaires out there and some billionaires out there pay less in taxes than you and I.
I know,
because they show a net loss every year.
Yep,
through creative accounting. So I do think there's room to change the tax law so that people are paying their fair share. But I don't think people should be penalized for taking a risk and investing their own money, knowing that you're not guaranteed to make money with that, with that investment. So it is a huge risk.
Yeah.
But really interesting stuff. Hey,
the reason
congrats to Elon, right?
Yeah, but the reason why he is on this is not because of Tesla. So I want to make sure we say that on here. The reason why he is so Morgan Stanley did this valuation of a projection of what they feel he can be worth. And the reason is because of his SpaceX company, not because Tesla, let me first say this. Tesla now has a market value of over $1 trillion. Like, it's insane, but that's because of Tesla jumped after Biden got into office. Tesla jumped because there is a big push to make Teslas be vehicles that are government vehicles, police
EVs
vehicles,
are like, even
Tesla,
US Post Service, they're all trying to switch over to EV market.
Which Tesla's done a great job too, because there's definitely more affordable Teslas now.
Yes, and it's pushing other car manufacturers. The Rivian just came out.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to pay $80 to fill up my tank anymore. Because that's what it costs. And you don't drive a small car either. It's a pain in the ass.
No, I'm in Rhode Island though, so everywhere from me it's like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, not me.
No, it's good. I mean, listen, shout out to Elon. Yeah. He inspires me. I don't know about you guys out there. Like, people like Elon Musk inspire me because they are pushing the boundaries of what humans are capable of. And like, I love, like you guys know already, like I love space. I love like the exploration of it. I love talking about it. I love that we're trying to get off the planet again. I think it's terrible that like we don't still go land on the moon like we did back in the day, because of the financial impact it has. NASA was at one point almost completely shut down. And it's like, if we're not exploring, if we're not trying to extend our capabilities, like we're kind of just getting caught in a rut.
Yeah, but didn't Elon Musk say something about creating, colony on Mars? Isn't that what he wants to do?
It's gonna happen.
But the hidden message that I maybe am putting out there is
we're doomed.
Why is he looking for colonization elsewhere on a different planet, Mars? What in the world?
I mean, listen, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we have the next event that is an extinction level event. It's not. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. At some point, history repeats itself, and whether it's a solar flare, an
that's
asteroid,
why we have that missile.
Yeah. So doesn't China. China's got a missile too.
Yeah, China's a whole nother one, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I almost thought about covering that this week, but
no.
Listen, I probably a different topic for a different day, but Elon, he's pushing the boundaries, he's taking risks, and those risks are paying off financially. And I wanted to talk about this because, again, I know some people will look at this and go, yep, rich keep getting richer.
Yeah.
First trillionaire, while there are people on our sidewalks who can't get a meal.
Yeah.
Who don't have a home.
Right.
So I can see how someone could look at this and actually be turned off by it. I like seeing people do well.
Yeah.
He's not doing it at the expense of others. He's making risks. He's taking financial risks with his own money.
Yeah.
And he's doing the right thing. But I do think, hey, listen, if we can change the tax law where it's fair for all, I'm all for it. And clearly it's not fair for all at this point because
they have ways that we can't do.
Yeah, they have stuff
like they're paying an accountant maybe like I don't know, $250 to do their
Yep.
taxes, probably more, honestly, and be like, yo,
Right.
here's $1 million. Make sure I ain't shelling out part of this value, because Elon Musk is valued at $240 billion. Just 40 billion more than the next person, Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos came from nothing. But it's like the top 2 wealthiest people in the world combined for over $500 billion. It's like almost
crazy.
Almost $500 million. It's like, that's 2 people.
And they alone could like change the scape of like people being homeless in this country just by by them donating. So, but again, they don't have an obligation to. So it's like I always go back and forth.
They do donate. I looked that up once.
Oh yeah,
I was like, yo, what are these? What do they do? They donate a lot of money.
I'm sure, and you know,
but all as a write-off.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know.
So that's it, right? That's 3 topics.
Yeah, that's
we covered
3.
Survivor. You know, another great week. Survivor's picking up. We now have a merge coming. We're gonna have a tribal next week. It's the fireworks are starting. You know, they got a little food in their bellies. They're ready for the second half of the season. Going to be crazy. We will be back next week. Anything else? To add?
Guys, make sure, as always, if you guys are here with us at the end of the episode, we appreciate you guys. And if you're here at the end of the episode, I'm sure you already have done this. But if you haven't, subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and we want you to do some fireworks in the comment section or the ratings on Apple Podcasts. Go over to Apple Podcasts. We're trying to hit 1,000. So if you can go over there, do the bang emoji, something, let us know. I always see we did the fist last time, the devil before. Go over there, sound off in the comments. It really does help us grow as a channel. As you guys have probably noticed, we're starting to get a few more ads in here.
Yeah.
We're not going to be a trillionaire anytime soon. Yeah. But it does help us buy better equipment, improve the production value of the show, and just giving a rating lets us know that we're doing the right thing and that you value what we're bringing to you every week. So we appreciate you guys tuning in here on the Winner's Circle. We will see you next week.